My target today is Captain Sunil Anand. I've been talking about his adventure travels, and I would rather let him talk on the camera about his what we think very daring, and some of us call it daredevilry, but obviously everybody knows his limits, and for Sunil, sky seems to be the limit. At least Khardungla was not enough. He tracked from Leh to Khardungla, Manali to Leh, and there are lots and lots of other tips. Sunil, what were your most enjoyable and daring trips on cycle?
I wouldn't, some are enjoyable and some are just simply, as somebody cautioned me, there seems to be a, there seems to be some deficiency of adrenaline pumping in your system. So most of these I've done as a matter of adventure. Being in the services, most of our training and focuses on the ability to endure,
Yeah.
mentally and physically both. So somewhere that bug seems to have caught me, and I've done many things. I've been very fortunate that within the scope of my job, which is predominantly sea service, I shifted from trekking to, at some point in time, other activities, cycling. Cycling became one of the most passionate activities.
By the way, how much your cycle costs?
I'm not
How
sure.
many cycles you bought for this trekking so far?
Over the years, I've had 2 or 3 cycles. I'm not much of a technology-centered geek or the latest cycle. So when
What are the
somebody,
costliest cycle you bought?
I don't even remember, maybe 20,000 bucks, maybe lesser. In
Okay,
fact,
okay, okay.
for those who are keen to do these activities, it's not about money. Cycle is one of the oldest pieces of technology that we've had
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
modern times in terms of transport. There's nothing very elaborate or very minute or this thing about technology in a cycle.
At what age you did the first long cycling trip?
Oh, I must have done that in school. I was ninth or 10th, maybe after my 10th
So
holiday.
you won't even remember.
It used to be off and on. Then I joined the military service. I left home at 17. So there wasn't much cycling. I did a few trips like from Pune to uh, Bombay on a cycle. Those used to be those big cycles, those big old cycles.
Yeah, yeah.
So we said we'll go
I
and run
heard
them.
of the stories of Maharashtrians going around that.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
did that by night. We, 6 of us, cycled down to down the ghats, and one guy slept off on the cycle. It was so, and he went off the road. Then we decided it's time to take a break. So this is about 2 o'clock at night at Khandala or maybe Lonavala. I don't remember where. We took shelter in some small little thatch hut or something. But in terms of, you asked me about technology, and if people are keen to cycle, um, you don't have to go for a very costly cycle. You get aluminium cycles, you get graphite cycles. Particularly Indian roads are not altogether suited for this kind of. It's lighter, yes, no doubt about it. But then every speed breaker, every pothole will tend to misalign your cycle. You just get your gear ratios right. You can check it out online. Information is available. What should the gear ratio be depending on where you are cycling? Don't go for something fashionable. Don't go for something
What are
snazzy
the three most daring trips?
on cycle.
Yeah,
Well, they've been, each has had its own challenges.
I know.
I remember two in particular. One was the Manali Leh trip, which was against
When
altitude.
was it?
I think 8, 9 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe. I don't recollect the exact date. But in that, I would say Bada Lachla was a very, very challenging trip
Manali Leh.
on the Manali Leh route, because Bada Lachla from
I know Baralachala because I have camped there.
okay,
And
and
I've come from Baralacha to Chandratal
okay,
as a geologist of Geological
right.
Survey of India. So I know the area. That's why I'm deeply touched at your.
Bada Lachla trip.
Yeah, yeah.
So Bada Lachla was challenging in the sense that it's 14.
Sometimes it's risky to drive through in some seasons, and for a person to be cycling all the way. There are many others. One of my students did it, and one journalist, Preet Mehta, in Chandigarh, he had done it when he was a student. People do it. But you were alone,
No,
or
no, we were a group of people, but we all got separated from each other because each person paces himself separate, differently. So Bada Lashla is all from Zing Zing Bar, it's 12,000 feet and above. and there is not a single patch which takes you flat or gentle slope. It's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
moderate and steep. And at that altitude, you're climbing to about 16,000 to Bada Lachla. I mean, I thought is not
You
possible.
started from Manali.
We started from Manali, we stopped at crossed Rotangla day one,
You went from Manali to Rohtang and across.
across
How
Rotang.
many hours?
We started in the morning, and by evening we were through.
What
Afternoon,
food you had with you?
food, we had our breakfast. We carry a small sandwich and a banana or two. And
You stopped
that's
at Muddy to have
muddy
something?
with a cup of tea maybe, because that was our first day. So if I recollect correctly, one little acclimatization towards Solang we had already done.
Yeah,
And
Solangnala.
then we crossed Muddy and we went through Rotangla onto Kilong and Tandi. Tandi was the next
You
halt.
then the next halt where you can get something to eat is Koksa.
We had a vehicle with us. He was carrying. He used to move forward en route.
Okay, you had a vehicle going ahead of you.
There was a vehicle who was supporting us because we were in tents.
Okay,
So he used to carry the tentage and the little kitchen with him.
okay.
He had a small little
A jeep or
a jeep truck,
okay,
small truck.
okay, okay.
So he had a cylinder of gas and all our rations. He would, in case you needed some help, he would palm off some food.
Yeah, yeah. You had a standby.
Oh, yes,
Good.
in that kind
Yeah.
of terrain, you cannot
Yeah,
be
yeah,
on your own.
yeah.
I mean, I do pack riding now. Now I carry my tent and sleeping bag and stuff, but that's now. That time, and that terrain is not meant for, because you need very elaborate gear to sleep out in the night. It has to be waterproof, heat-proof tents, altitude tents. You can't carry on a cycle, at least. Exactly.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we stopped at Kelong, crossed Kelong and stopped at Tandi. Next day we crossed Bada Lachla. And Bada Lachla,
Then what is the camping halt after Baralacha?
after Bada Lachla, I think we crossed
Yunangso?
Jispa. Jispa was before or
Jispa was before.
before.
You see,
Jispa,
from Kelong you go to Jispa. We have been camping at Jispa, then Dacha, then you go up
then there was a
Patsyo,
Whiskey Nala, that was one halt.
Patsyo,
No,
then
see, it was Pang, Sarchu,
oh yeah, Sarchu is ahead.
further ahead.
Yeah,
In
Sarchu
between was
Plains.
a place called Whiskey Nala, where it's called Whiskey Nala. It's a you get off the track and we camped over there.
I
There
understand.
was a small stream of water, snow melting, and that's where we spent the night. Then was Pang. Then we crossed Nakila, Lachangla,
Yeah,
then Tanglangla,
yeah.
and then of course we get into Leh. These are the
And
five
how many
passes.
days it took you to reach Leh?
We took 7 days. One day we had to completely declare a halt because
And,
some of the people weren't able to.
How many people you were?
We were about 15 of us. 5 had to be dropped because of altitude sickness and other things. You see, most of us were Navy coming from sea level, and sometimes you just break out and you don't do the full acclimatization procedure. Actually, there is no procedure for a thing
I
like
know,
for an event
but you
like
were
this.
cycling. Every step, every pedal is giving you acclimatization. If you're going in a vehicle or flight, then you don't at all acclimatize.
Actually, we also thought so, but it didn't turn out that way.
Okay.
Those who are prone to altitude sickness can get it real bad, and I've seen some cases, and it wasn't a pretty sight. So we had to evacuate 4 people who were evacuated on altitude sickness issues.
So 15 of you started.
Yeah, started, then it scattered a little. 1 or 2 people dropped. One guy had a very high fever. I think 8, 9 of us finally finished.
Okay.
And-
More than 50%, 60%
so,
reach.
and
Yeah.
some of the camps we had foreigners, other people.
Yeah, they're all full of it.
Many people were doing short legs. Not everybody were doing the full thing. And we realized that those people have much better equipment. They have pulse meters. They have computers which are constantly guiding you what to do next.
Yeah,
They're giving
yeah.
you the altitude. They're giving you the slope. They're giving you your own pulse rate, your blood pressure, your hemoglobin, your oxygen.
How did you come back?
We flew back. And in fact, our flights were booked. One day got spoiled because of weather. I was thinking I'll do Khardungla, but there was no time.
Okay,
so we
okay.
just had to move back.
And you did Khardungla later.
Later, I did. It kept remained in my mind. It wasn't the most challenging ride since you asked me what is the
You
challenging-
say Khardungla was not the most challenging.
No, Baralachla. Because I remember it. What I remember of. But then again, during COVID, I remember.
That's typical of Sunil Anand. For him, Khardungla was not challenging.
No, it was challenging. Yes,
Yeah.
the most challenging I would say, which I remember.
Baralacha.
Baralachla, it shook me really bad. Then another ride I remember, which was in the COVID times, just before COVID. I was out. I happened to be out, and all the roads got closed. That day, Bandh was declared in Bombay. So I had to. I was staying in Raipur then, Raigad, sorry, close to in district Raigad. I had to cycle about 110 kilometers, but without food. That was at some
This was where?
in Bombay.
Okay.
In Mumbai, I went around. That time I had a serious doubt because without food, your total calorie
Oh,
requirement,
sure, sure.
2,500, 3,000 calories you need. And it happened impromptu. I wasn't mentally ready for it. I hadn't worked out what route I'll take. There were diversions. We thought there will be food available. I thought there will be food available, but there wasn't. You could stop at a medical store, pick up a packet of lassi or something, packet of biscuits maybe. Anything more than that wasn't
Did you
available.
carry chana and gur?
This time I did not because I had not gone for a ride. I had just gone for some work. I thought I'll
But
come
to
back.
Baralacha and Khardungla?
Badalashla and Khardungla, each person carries his own staple thing.
Yeah.
That's called, we call it emergency or
Yeah, yeah.
energy rations. But I prefer to carry peanuts and jaggery mix. Maybe maize, maize in bread form.
During these tough trips, did you reduce weight?
Oh yes, I mean,
How much?
in the Manali lay I lost 8 kgs. And we see there the requirement is more than 4,500 calories.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a very huge requirement. And Indian diet habits are not quite because we are carb eaters. You can't eat that much rice
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever. So despite a lot of diet we eat supplements, weight loss had to come. Weight had to come from body protein. So we lost a lot of weight. I lost about 8 kgs.
And Khardungla you did in one day?
In one day, I ran into a blizzard on my way back. I lost sensation in my fingers, 2 of my fingers, because I was wearing those summer gloves.
Leh is around 10,500.
About 11.
Yeah, 11-ish. And Khardungla is the highest road of the world. Motorable road of the world.
They say
And
18 and a half.
18 and a half.
So when I reached the top, see, I had stayed this. I had actually gone for rafting on the Zanskar River.
Yeah, yeah.
So about 7-8 days I was in Leh. It was sunny every day. I crossed this Khardungla twice in a vehicle. It was sunny. On top, it was a little bit of fine snow and things like that. But the day I rode, that day, when I reached the top, by the time I crossed South Pulu, they declared the road closed. Unfortunately, I didn't come to know. And cyclist is not fully marked and things like that. So when I reached the top, I went and had my blood, oxygen, etc. checked with the army post. He said, "You're perfectly okay, oxygen is high." And he asked me, "What have you been up to?" So I said, "I'm on a cycle." So I said, "I need to lose height." He said, "Sir, there's a blizzard warning, but it should clear sometimes." And I had a flight to catch next day. So I tumbled down. I had to be very careful because tumble down is more difficult in terms of safety than going up. Up is challenging in terms of endurance. And that's when the blizzard came in. I mean, the snow, the rain. I was not fully equipped. My fingers, I lost sensation. I stopped again at South Pulu to have a cup of tea and a packet of noodles. I burnt my mouth because so urgent was the need for heat that I threw it into my mouth while it was still boiling and I had blisters in the mouth. And by the time I got back, I'd lost sensation. I mean, numb. It was only after 3 days I realized that the sensation isn't back. It took 6 months. So then I stopped my altitude riding. I was already, I think, 50 that time, or maybe more. So, and yeah, I think I was 50 or just about to be 50. I celebrated that with Khardungla ride. After that, I have gone on to pack riding. And you say enjoy. I thought I will enjoy the scenery if I like a place. Instead of having fixed accommodation, I pitch my tent and stay. Well, most of the time I did, but again the adrenaline bug remained. So I would cycle until evening and say, okay, I've got a tent, I don't need accommodation. It's only now, last trip that I did around Goa, about 400 kilometers. But I would stop by around 2:33, go have a swim on the beach, pitch up a tent or a hammock somewhere and sleep. And that's what I do.
Sunil's Himalayan travels excited me a lot because I have camped in those areas as a geologist or Geological Survey of India. Lots of expeditions from 77 onwards. And My last trip was before my retirement, 2 months before. So I started going at the age of 26 and hung my boots at in 2009 at near age of 60. And Sunil made it to Khardung when he was already 50. Sunil is a great guy, is a rare guy, and the sun is setting. And our first part of Sunil's travel stories is over. And I will be recording the next part tomorrow morning when we go out with Sunil to a sunrise point in the Brooklands area of Kunur. Thank you, Sunil. God bless.